This is West Africa Weekly, a live series brought to you by Riglinks and RV Core 9, where we talk about oil and gas news, projects, and developments that you can sink your teeth into. Here are your hosts, Greg and Arvie. Arvie.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you? How's lockdown London?
It's actually not that bad. I think everyone's just getting used to it now. So yeah, it's a change of the way we do things, but mustn't grumble. Things are businesses back as usual, working from home. But yeah, apart from that, no complaints.
Well, good. I'm glad London can come to a place where it can be happy again.
Yeah. I mean, the weather, it's been strange, actually. Last week, we had one day of snow, which, it was the excitement of the hour. So, yeah, it's not that exciting here. But, yeah, we are learning to just cope with what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, where I'm from, snow is a very seldom thing that happens, maybe, once every 5 to 6 years. So
Right.
when it snows where I'm from, it gets a bit wild and crazy.
Yeah, I mean, here in London, I mean, if we get like just a couple of inches or whatever, it's like system shutdown. We get so excited with it. We're like, oh, look, we can't go to work. We can't go out. It's system shutdown for us.
So, so anybody that's just joining, this is West Africa Weekly, where we talk about topics in West Africa and different projects that are kicking off and going on. And we have our co-host here, Arvie, and she's based in London at the moment. And so she shares some insights with us, and looks like we got some people coming in from Indonesia, U.S. Yeah, so we'll give them just a couple more minutes here. We got from Ghana. We'll go ahead and get the rundown up. All right.
So we've had some exciting stuff going on this week, Greg, in the oil and gas world.
Absolutely.
I think
a lot of good announcements too.
Absolutely. I was thinking, the year started just right. So super happy about that.
All right. For our rundown, we've got just a second here. We've got we'll cover the oil prices, and hello. I say, oh, you got sorry, Jose, that's just wrong.
Oh,
anyway,
what are you doing there? First of all,
shots fired. Brazil, Pakistan, welcome everybody. Tunisia, welcome. Then Senegal, we got some people in from Senegal. We'll go over the oil prices. I want to talk about this LNG to power in Ghana. Senegal is a gas project. Some payment relief announcements coming from Angola. And the last one there, the Total Scholarship Program, which is pretty awesome. We'll cover that. So get over here to our oil prices. So for today, this is January the 14th. And our crude, our WTI, is sitting at $52.50. Welcome from everybody from Manila and Saudi Arabia. And London, there's another London. And our Brent is sitting at $55.42. So that's our oil prices for today. So the first thing we'll jump over into is our we'll talk about is the I didn't put the link up there. Is the Ghana sub-Saharan power, LNG to power. Leave it to me to not put a note up.
That's okay, Greg. That's all right.
It's one of those days, isn't it?
It's okay. It's been one of those weeks for me, so I don't know about you. I can't. I won't complain about the day. It's been that kind of week for me.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of one of those things where it just it comes and goes, and then all of a sudden it goes, and then you don't have anything, no memory to back it up with.
Sure, I hear you.
So what's the weather like? Is it snowing? No, huh?
Actually, it's kind of like it's a bit just miserable here. I mean, it's dark, it's grey, and it's rainy season as expected in January. So it's nothing. It's business as usual down this side. So there's not. Can't tell you we've had a couple of feet of snow. I can't tell you that. I can just tell you it's raining and it's miserable and a bit dark at the moment. But it's a bit strange because people are still very active. People are still walking and getting out and about. So it's strange, really. Not that many people kind of, the non kind of essential places are closed at the moment. So the supermarkets remain open. So you'll see a bit more people on the street walking about, getting their daily exercise, even though we are in a lockdown. But again, as I stated before, it's just something that we've got used to, especially in West London. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the world is in the
Exactly.
same situation. Yeah.
Sure.
So one of the first things we wanted to talk about today was the LNG to power, and this is Ghana, sub-Saharan first. So it was announced on the 8th, and Ghana is set to open up the first LNG gas to power project in Ghana. So this will allow nations to switch over from traditional fuels for power to keep the lights on. So, obviously, LNG is, it's still a product that needs extraction using the same method that traditional fuels use for, how we get them. But it is a cleaner fuel, and some see it as a bridge to a future with less CO2 emissions.
Sure.
But sub-Saharan Africa provides over 10% of the global production of LNG. That was something I wasn't aware of until this week when I started looking it up. That's massive. 29. That's equal to 29 million tons per year.
Mm.
And they're estimating by 2025 the production values will increase to 150% or 84 million tons a year.
Sure. And I think it's something really to boast about, in consideration about less than 10 years ago, Qatar was the leading global player in the marketplace. So I think it's really something to be proud of. And also, well, especially myself, I was based in Ghana and I actually lived in Tema. So I had a lot of experience working on the Jubilee field there in Takoradi. And I remember,
Right.
the excitement and of first oil and putting together the production sharing agreement. I remember the excitement, and then obviously 10 years later, you hear stories like this where Ghana is going to be at the central focal point here in West Africa and being a player in the LNG space. So I think it's major. I think it also shows contractors and subcontractors that, look, there's going to be a hell of a lot of work out there now as the marketplace does pick up. My only concern about this is that when you hear news like this and pockets of LNG kind of a discovery and EM exploration work going on, is the oversaturation of the marketplace. So I'm not really too sure how that will play out purely for the media guys and also for the traders. But I think that we've got to be careful. Sometimes a lot of these kind of, especially with the pricing, consideration of pricing, because it's an all-time high at the moment. So I'm yet to see kind of mid-year. Let's see how it goes with the numbers of projects that are actually executed.
The technology advancements are making most of this possible. We wouldn't have thought about doing anything like this 15, 20 years ago. So, it's estimated that LNG emits half the emissions that coal does when it's burned.
Sure.
To generate electricity. But one of the reasons I think for this large project in Ghana was they're has been some previous reliability issues with the West African gas pipeline. So, for anyone that doesn't know, about the West African gas pipeline, as well as me, because I was doing research this week, but as well as but the pipeline starts actually in the Atoki terminal in southeastern Nigeria and runs through the water there in Benin, Togo, and Ghana, parallel to the coastline. But the Tima terminal is getting its gas under a long-term contract with international oil company Shell. And it was financed by a combination of equity and some consortium of international banks. So, that's a huge project, and I mean it's a lot of work going on there for people in Ghana, and a lot of work going on for people in West Africa in general.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. So I should have actually told you this bit at the beginning of our show, but I'm actually traveling in the next 2 weeks. I'll be going to Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and Nigeria. So I'm really actually looking forward to that. And what part of the scope of work of me traveling is actually looking at, power projects. So I guess there's going to be a lot of development work and a lot of new contracts coming up.
The seems like that's just about all we're going to talk about on this show is new projects today. I think the only one I think we're going to cover is the last one from Total. But it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something I think the world, especially the energy sector and the industry alike, I think they were waiting for Q1 2021 just to get everything going,
We needed this.
Absolutely. Certainly did, yeah.
So the next thing we'll talk about is the $4.3 billion gas project that's being supported by British Petroleum and Cosmos in Senegal. So that was on January the 11th. So it's called the Greater Tortua. I'm sure I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, but Amayim project, which straddles the waters between Mauritania and Senegal. But do you know the population of Senegal and Mauritania together? I bet no. I mean, just if anybody wants to take a stab at it in the comments, and y'all go for it, because myself personally, I mean, yes, it is two separate countries, but when you look at West Africa as a whole, it never crosses your mind how big some of these places are. But do you know, Harvey, just off the top of your head?
No, I don't know. And even if you kind of told me it was a competition, I still couldn't give you a wild guess.
There is, between Senegal and Mauritania, there's 21 million people.
Wow.
And so if that's 21 million people that need power, transportation, and just, the resources just to live a normal life, typically. But just putting it in perspective, so that is, if you want to talk about 21 million, what you compare that to. So that's the population of New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, and Philadelphia, all put together, the 7 largest cities in the United States. So that's Senegal and Mauritania put together. But the two countries and associated oil companies are collaborating on the project to set that's going to be producing, looks like 2.5 million tons of LNG annually. So that's a huge project for those guys.
Absolutely. And I also think what it does, it puts them right in the focal point to be promoted, and also to get a seat at the OPEC table as well, because they will end up being quite a large producer. Which it's a bit of a shame, actually. So for the last couple of years, I've been attending the joint committee meetings in OPEC in Vienna, and it was, it's a great event. You get to, listen to the ministers face to face when they do their, discussion points and discuss the oil pricing. And it's a shame I'm unable to travel to Vienna, but it's a great atmosphere. And I think that Senegal and Mauritania, I think this is again, a big power play as well to get a seat at the big boys table.
Exactly. between 2014 and 2017, reserves of more than 1 billion barrels of oil and 40 billion cubic feet of gas were found in Senegal. Most of that being shared with Mauritania, according to the IMF or International Monetary Fund. But Senegal wants to be connected and competitive on a larger stage. So the oil minister there, Sophie, made that comment on this one article here. But yeah, it's a big project for Senegal, I think. But that's just kind of that's one of three major projects that's kicking off in Senegal between now and 2024. It looks. Are you involved in any of these others projects, Harvey, with the Sangomar and some of the others?
I'm not actually. Funnily enough, a couple of years back, 3 years back, I was interviewed at McDermott's, and they were actually doing the feed work for Senegal, the Senegalese project. So no, I'm not actually directly involved right now. I kind of wish I was, but there's still plenty of scope and we have time. So let's see what kind of contracts come up and see what companies are going to be doing the kind of design work or the contracts for them.
So that's this one, the Greater Tortua Amayam field, and that's the Sangomar project, which was from Woodside. That one will produce, looks like 75,000 to 100,000 barrels per day, and kicking off in 2023. And you have another gas field, the Yakar Teranaga, which holds 15 to 20 trillion cubic feet of gas, and it's scheduled to kick off between now and 2024. So very busy,
Sure,
a couple of years for Senegal there.
Sure. Are you going to be getting involved, Greg? I didn't ask you. Are you going to be getting involved?
I am not going to be involved in any of these projects in the short term. So all of these are in West Africa, and I'm currently in another part of the world and looking for another couple of years here. So yeah, so we welcome everybody. We've got some more people coming in. We've got Angola. We've got looks like some more people in from Ghana, Ivory Coast. Yeah, Utah. Welcome, Utah. Welcome, everybody. Next one on the list we'll talk about is Angola, and looks like they are getting some payment relief for some. I think that. Let me look at that. I think that was 20 billion. Yeah, that's a big amount. Anyway, Chinese creditors have extended more than 700 million in its next portion of International Monetary Fund financing. Angola is Africa's second largest oil exporter and has been, of course, like most of the other places in the world, seeking payment relief as it tries to overcome the hit from the coronavirus pandemic. It's looking for a bit of help there, and of course some of the debt requirements, and all based on validity in the oil and gas sector. So just like all the other parts of the world, RV, they they got hit probably the hardest because that was their kind of main revenue resource. So
funnily enough, just to add, if it's going to add some value to anybody listening out there, there's a couple of, well, actually 4 major investment companies and investment banks here in London that are actually supporting an Angolan local content fund to be set up. So as well as there being, huge issues with debt relief and payment relief from the Chinese, there is also a lot of kind of inter-trade and financing deals going on, especially between the UK and Angola. We do know that the president last, I think it was November time, issued a decree whereby, the first kind of highlight of his agenda was local content initiatives and incentives. So based on that, you've got a lot of kind of bankers looking at how they're going to structure a fund going forward. So the fund will kind of look a bit like a kind of a borrowing based on what local companies have with IOCs. So there is a hell of a lot of investment still coming into the region in Angola.
Angola is also part of what's called the G20 debt service suspension initiative. So, which most folks did not know this existed until today, same as me, but obviously a couple of days ago. But this is an initiative to help the world's poorest countries cope with the fallout of COVID-19. So the plan was put in place, and it's supposed to be there, I think, until the middle of 2021. But I mean, I guess if they're talking about the middle of 2021, I guess they have a better insight into the oil and gas prices than we do, don't we?
Absolutely, exactly, because that just feels right, because it's tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, it's only like a couple of months away, and I mean,
That's right, yeah.
when you load up that kind of money, you got to know some information going on somewhere. But
Correct, yeah, knowledge is
repayment
power.
period is supposed to be something like 5 years, and
Yeah,
some kind
sure.
of like 5 billion debt deferred. So, I mean, it's good that there's programs and policies and things in place to help countries and not just combat on the ground, but I mean, that's affecting business structures. That's affecting everything. Especially international trade agreements. I mean, it's just that money's in there helping those guys out. So that's good. I'm glad that there's some additional support there for sure. But I don't think COVID's not going away anytime soon. So it's something we're all going to have to deal with. And I mean, I think as the world goes on, we'll get better at this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
The next thing we wanted to talk about was, which is probably pretty close to your heart, being that you did a lot of work in Mozambique, like we talked about last show. But Total has set up a scholarship program for 40 lucky students in Mozambique. So these scholarship program will cover a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate, and is expected to be in place over the next 3 years. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think initiatives like this, especially from international oil companies and energy companies, is fantastic, because you see what ends up happening from my experience is that you get some really, really bright students and graduates coming out of the local universities, and it's the oil and gas and the energy sector is such an attractive industry to get into, and it's always very difficult for them to kind of get their first graduate scheme or get their first job or their position. So when initiatives like this are set up, it actually helps and supports a local workforce and the local students for those who do want to enter in the industry. It makes it so much easier, because it's a flow down of kind of knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's fantastic, and I know that a lot of oil companies have done this globally. BP are very good at it. Excellent. They have an excellent model.
Yeah, I think the value that Total gets back out of that, as well as BP or anybody that does that, I think the value that brings back to the organization, especially whenever you're talking about the probably 50, 60, 70% of the 40 students will probably come back to Mozambique.
That's right.
And they'll be back home working for Total or working for whatever company that manages that 20 years into the future. So those are all long-term employment opportunities, and that changes your life. And like I said, and some of the other stuff we were putting together for the show, I mean, that's 40 students. That's a chance of a lifetime that wasn't given to their mothers and fathers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think sometimes, especially us as expats, when we go over, Greg, I think sometimes when you're operational, you're on the ground, you actually realize what that means. It's a different statement, me and you talking about it, but when you go in country, and you rightfully said, you look at these people and it transforms their lives, not for that generation, for 2-3 generations down the road. So I think it's I mean, I love initiatives like this. I really endorse it, and I think it's fantastic. Yeah, super.
You're absolutely right. It changes the whole landscape of people's lives. But just as a message from the Total's country chair in Mozambique, Ronan Bescord just followed up, the announcement with consistent with our ambition to become the world's responsible energy major. Total is very focused on contributing to the development of the countries it operates in, the training of the younger people, the next generation, so they can embrace opportunities in and out of the project. A fundamental part of the responsibility to contribute to the sustainable development and respond to the commitments established with the Mozambique government for local content requirements. So, yeah, I mean, it all goes back to how much you want to put into the project. It also, whenever they start talking about these projects, I think you covered a little bit about this last show, was how much work is done on the front end between the government and
Yeah.
the IOC. And these are the kind of projects that you love to see. These are the kind of the programs that you love to see them put in place, because there had to be somebody that agreed to that. There had to be somebody that said, I think that'd be a great idea. There wasn't somebody that said, just go down here and we'll just set up this coffee stand and we'll buy all you guys coffee, and then we'll come in here and we'll drill 300 wells in here and we'll just produce all of this stuff out of here, and you guys can come and have free lunch whenever you want and stuff like that. So, this is them, putting back. So that's great.
Yeah, and I think, like you stated, it's a chain of thought. It's the actual model that they thought about for 4 generations to come. I don't think it's as simple as, and you're right, it's that statement of giving the fisherman the net or teaching him how to fish. It's that same kind of principle, So yeah, I'm super excited. I'd like to see, again, I was involved right at the end in February for ExxonMobil Fluor, an engineering company. So I looked after the kind of feed contracts for Area 4 in Mozambique. So I'm actually looking forward to see how the actual local content flow down of the legislation, how the majors will implement it in country. So yeah, this is going to be really good model.
I am very excited to also see about Mozambique and the things that are going on over there, and their neighbor across the water that we won't talk about much on this show, but Guyana. I'm also curious to see how Guyana makes out over the next couple of years, because they have the same kind of prospects as Mozambique has, almost identical, as well as the programs. But I'm curious how Exxon is going to roll out some of those programs too. I haven't heard any kind of programs like this yet in Guyana from ExxonMobil. So Total, ExxonMobil, jump in there behind Total and put your money out there. So
yeah, put your money where your mouth is.
That's right.
We like that statement in oil and gas.
Get it done. Boots on the ground. Make it happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, Harvey, any parting words?
Do I have any parting words? Look, I'm really super excited about Q1 2021. I think we just have to keep the momentum going and keep on having these conversations, because especially for us operational people, it's good to have the engagement, because there's always something you can learn from each other. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's session as well. I've already started preparing.
Awesome. I think I think it's good for operational people to get in and put a face on things too. And the main thing about it as well, RV, is there's so much stuff in the news, and there's so many different articles, and there's so many different things out there that comes across the web and everything, that if you don't stop and focus on some really important parts of kind of the puzzle there, you can't put things together in West Africa. So it's so big, and there's so many different things going on, that if you don't take just and put a spotlight on just a few of those, sometimes, like, these gems like this don't pop out. Sometimes they don't pop out of the rest of the woodwork. So it's good. We need things like this. So it was wonderful talking to you again this week, Harvey.
Yeah, it was good to talk to you too, Greg. So until next time, my dear friend, we shall catch up.
Absolutely. Hold on, Jose, set up a VPN. Yeah, you need to set up a VPN so you can apply. Good comment there, Jose.
Okay. Well, have we got any questions from anyone?
Let's see here. Let's roll back through there. No, it doesn't look like we have any questions today.
No questions today, as opposed to last week.
Yeah, yeah. There was one question that was back about regasification, or was it coming from somewhere else? No, this is it's not regasification for the project in um, Ghana. That's uh, that's a full on project there, simply because it needed. It wasn't going to rely on the West African gas pipeline that
Right.
much going forward.
Okay.
But the West Africa gas pipeline is regasification that would be coming from Nigeria going up the coastline. So, but yeah, I think that was our only. I think that was our only question at the moment. But yeah, we had a ton of
Fantastic. Okay, good.
ton of. Oh, let's see. Wait, there's one there. Jose
Yeah,
put in a
got you.
question way earlier. Um, how's the overall oil price setting? Well, I think the chart showed it being a bit bearish. So, um, yeah, I don't think it's. I think we're talking long term here, which is good. I
Mm,
think I didn't make any comments about it when we kicked off the show, but there's some talk about the U.S. shale having to fill in some of the gaps to where some of the production has been cut back. So they're going to probably try to sneak in there and shove some in there. So we'll see what happens over the next 3 or 4 months. I hope they are a bit reserved with their decision, however they go with it, so
sure.
we don't have another price problem. So let me see here. What's another question there? Can help to make a comparison of the project custom between Angola LNG, Ghana LNG, and Mozambique.
That
Okay,
I suppose is that
that's
a
a
question to the rather to the wider business community, I suppose, isn't it?
yeah. I think what we're talking about here is in between Angola, Ghana, and Mozambique. The Ghana LNG to power program is different than the Mozambique LNG and Angola LNG program. So the Angola LNG and the Mozambique LNG are two separate fields, obviously with a lot of different production between the two. But the Ghana LNG is taking from the West African gas pipeline, and they're converting the LNG into power. So that's the largest part we wanted to talk about or we wanted to bring up with the first thing we talked about. So that's the differences kind of between the three. So um, yeah, I think that's it.
Is that
I think we
us
got
for
them all this week.
okay, fantastic. Okay, well I guess that's a wrap. Greg?
Absolutely. Everyone, you have a good week, and we will see you next week at the same time. Arvi, have a wonderful week, and take care, everybody.
You too, Greg. Speak to you soon. Bye.
Absolutely. Take care. You've been watching West Africa Weekly, a live series brought to you by Riglinks and Arvi Nahar. Your hosts have been Greg and Arvi. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglinks.com. Tune in next Thursday at 8 a.m. CST for another live episode.